So how much did Brian Walshe really know? And what did you think of Ana's lover's testimony? Let's unpack those questions now with our guests in the studio. With me, I have celebrity attorney and Professor Randy Kessler. And joining me remotely, I have my twin, Susan Constantine, body language expert and human behavior expert. And, you know, it's so funny. I was saying, the producers told me about 10 minutes ago that we were dressed alike. And I said, well, you know what? If I'm going to match with anybody, it's going to be my girl, Susan Constantine, because you're so gorgeous and you always dress so beautifully. So it's cool. We're going to twin.
Sorry, I didn't get the memo.
Randy, I know you're looking great in your TV blue, as we were calling it. You're looking very dapper, my friend. And Randy, so let me start with you. So legally, we see this testimony coming in from the lover. What do you think this does to push forward the state's case? Because as you know, they've got the burden here.
I think it helps tremendously, right? On one hand, maybe it makes the victim not so likable that she was cheating on her husband and she was in this relationship and she was flaunting it and going out publicly. But it really isn't about that. The question is motive, right? In these cases, when it's husband and wife, you don't need to prove motive in any case, but the jury's always going to wonder, why would he do it? This answers that question clearly. He had a reason to be jealous. Not a reason to kill her, but he had a reason to be angry, and maybe that's what caused him to do this, aside with all his other blemishes. That would, someone who's got a criminal record, whose wife is cheating, who's got no future, who's maybe going to jail, it's a piece of the puzzle that was big.
You're right, Randy. And when you say it just like that, the picture being painted is one of a guy who's really losing in life. You know, he messed up picking up that federal case. You know, he's a fraudster. He is. And he was awaiting his federal sentencing at the time that Ana died. The jury is going to figure out how she died. Was it natural, unexplainable causes, as the defense says, or was this a homicide? Susan, we don't know the answer to that question yet, but we do know things looked uncomfortable yesterday in the courtroom. So I want to go back in time with you. Our team was in the courtroom, and our producer, Tiffany Smith, noticed when there was an extended break and the lover had to walk out of the courtroom, he was taken off the witness stand just to be given a break while they were discussing things at sidebar. Our producer, Tiffany, noticed as soon as he walked past Brian Walshe got really flushed. And so she picked up on that. So how uncomfortable do you think it was in there, Susan?
Very uncomfortable, and I'm going to share with you why. When you're reading a face, I'm looking at the wrinkles that are in his forehead, and they're long, and they go all the way across his forehead. So this, and also you'll notice his eyebrows would flip. One would go this way, the other one would go this way, and they're asymmetrical. What does that mean? It means that there was some serious high cognitive load. He was straining really hard to convey a message that he wanted the jury to believe. So in that, there was this constrained working hard to deliver the right message, and that's why you saw some hesitation, some pauses, some starts and stops, and you could see the weariness of the impact of that cognitive load in his eyes in itself. He also shows a mouth shrug, and it goes like this. You'll see these little dimplers right here. The dimplers are a form of uncertainty. So when I'm looking at hand shrugs, shoulder shrugs, mouth shrugs, those are associated with deceptive behavior. However, his statement that he made, I analyzed it, there was nothing within his statement that was untrue.
Okay, so it seems, from what I'm taking away, Susan, that you think he was being truthful, but this was hard. This was not easy for him to go through this process and think back to all of those things. Randy, I want to bounce a few of them off of you as a family law attorney. William Fasto and Ana, they didn't keep the relationship a secret, it seems, and we know at least he did. He testified to that. He also said that she had some issues with Brian's federal case. As you brought up, she was upset about this. We know he owed lots of money for selling those fake Andy Warhol paintings, and she said it was affecting her life. And she also said that she was suspicious of him. She told her lover that she was suspicious of his behavior. Now looking back, the prosecution, so I'm just going to argue rightfully so. Boy, Randy, this is messy, and it seems very dangerous. Would you share with us your thoughts on how things can get out of control when one strays in a marriage?
Sure, and we face this a lot. You know, I do a lot of divorce work, and a lot of times the argument is not, should she have cheated? Should she have gone outside the marriage? It's when. You know, there's just a normal course of business, which is, if you're not in love with your husband, we could all see the signs, right? This marriage was going straight downhill. He was going to jail. She was going to D.C. But you wait, or you file for divorce, and then you do the next step. And then you know, unfortunately, human nature being what it is, when you don't love somebody, you don't care about them, you start looking, you're open, and her relationship moved faster than her legal relationship ended. And that's just, it's a problem. Some people on the jury may hold that against her. If it was a divorce, they would hold it against her. But she's the victim. It's not going to be held against her. This is why he killed her, not justified. Just a mess.
Yeah, great points, Randy. I want to play for you both this voicemail that came into evidence. So we know that Brian Walsh knew Ana was dead at the time he made this call, but he calls up the lover, like asking if he knows where Ana is. The lover even goes so far as to go check the house. Susan, I would love for you to listen to his voice, the statements, and give us your thoughts on the other side. Here we go.
Good afternoon, Brian Walsh. Hope all is going well. I was just reaching out to basically everybody I could. Ana hasn't been in touch for a few days. I spoke to work today. She hasn't been in. They went to the house and she wasn't there, or it was like she's been there recently. So just wondering if you've spoken to her in the near, recently, like Sunday or the last 2 days. Just so let me know, or if you know anyone that might have had contact with her, calling everyone. So sorry to bother you. Sure, everything's fine, and we should.
Okay, Susan, tell us what you heard, please.
Liar, liar, pants on fire, Julie.
My girl. My girl.
Okay. All right, so I analyzed his statement. He scored a 74, deception indicated, and I'm going to share with you why. First of all, this is a serious situation. His flow of his conversation is very conversational. He opens up with trying to gain, likability, like, hey, it's very casual, hope your day is good. I don't know, I said something to that nature. But it was really odd. His vocal tone and his rhythm was very controlled and modulated throughout. There was no sense of urgency. There was no sense of concern. The words flowed evenly. There were some ands and ums and pauses, but he kept on a roll. So he had obviously rehearsed this response, and it came across very scripted. The other thing is he used the words basically. Well, basically is where you're withholding information, like blah, 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 blah. Well, basically, it's saying there's two opposing thoughts. So they're not giving you all the information. They're withholding. There's also words like just, and he's giving just for justification. So he's minimizing some of his thoughts. So he's not concerned at all. Well, why? Because he already knows she's dead. So in that statement in itself was very revealing. I could have broken it down to every single word he said, but overall, his statement was deceptive, and everything about it showed it in his language and also his flow, his rhythm, his pacing, and his tonality.
Wow, and all that is really scary to think about, how he can lie with such ease and sound so convincing. I think he is diabolical and very dangerous. That's me. Wondering what the jury is thinking. We're going to go back into that courtroom at 9 a.m. Eastern. Susan, my wonderful twin, great insight. We got to let you go today. Thank you so much for everything this morning. Have a great weekend. Randy Kessler is coming with us. You do the same.